Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. The Penn State Nittany Lions getting some real traction in this 2024 class, landing Liam Andrews yesterday. We broke him down. Now they land a really interesting defensive line prospect, T.A. Cunningham, a four-star prospect, a top 300 player nationally, and a guy that, when we talk about ending this recruiting cycle, might be a top 100 national dude. You get into his high school career and what his background is. Was a dominant prospect as a sophomore in high school, was thought to be one of the best defensive linemen in this 2024 class. He transfers out to California for his junior year, is ineligible to play for most of that season, and I think because of the lack of the junior film, he takes a little dive in the rankings. Going to Miami Central this year, a top program at the high school level, this is a guy that, come the end of the 2024 cycle, we might be talking about, again, one of the better defensive line prospects in this 2024 class in Penn State. Like, don't look now. They're putting together a top 5, top 7 class in the whole entire country, and I feel like nobody's really talking about it, right? A lot of the hype going to Ohio State, Michigan, USC, and there's good reason. They're putting together good classes. Penn State just quietly chipping away at another phenomenal class and really establishing those trenches. Going to get into T.A. Cunningham's film, talk about what he's going to bring to this Penn State defense. Before we do, just want to say thank you to you guys, and especially the Penn State fans. We just talked Liam Andrews yesterday. You guys showed a ton of support, so appreciate you guys rocking with the boys. And if you do enjoy the updates, you enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We also took a deep dive into this Penn State team heading into 2023, so Penn State fans, if you want to check that out, I'll link it above as well. And let's get into T.A. Cunningham. And I want to go back to his sophomore year, where he had 22 tackles for a loss, 7 sacks as a sophomore in high school at a very high level of Georgia high school football. And then he goes to California, doesn't play much. I think he only plays 4 games. He transfers out there, ineligible to play because of those transfer rules. Now he's going to Miami Central, and I think you're talking about a guy that at the end of the cycle is going to be one of the better defensive linemen in this class. There's a reason that all the top teams, Michigan, Miami, Penn State, were all in on this kid. Georgia was in on this kid. And anytime you can beat out Georgia for a defensive lineman, you feel pretty good about who the kid is and what he can bring to the table. Now, in terms of the player, 6'8" wingspan, 6'6", 275. It's rare to find functional athletes when you're getting a guy who's 6'6", 275, and that athletic, and you're going to turn on the film and see that. Really rare, and I think he brings a lot of versatility to this Penn State defense. Diving into the film, you're going to see him line up in a variety of ways, right? You're going to see him 3-tech, you're going to see him out in the 5-tech. Any way you cut it, this is a guy that offers a really difficult task for offensive linemen to block because he's extremely powerful, but he's also extremely athletic. He's very good in space, moving laterally. I think he's a force in the run game, and I'd like to see his pass rush get a little bit better. But you see, I mean, like when it comes to stopping the run, taking on blocks, shedding blocks, getting, in the backfield, T.A. Cunningham certainly has that in his game. And again, you would like to see a little bit more of a pass rush, but you look at the closing speed, you look at the ability to move laterally and make plays for the size that he is. And again, I should precursor this. This is a sophomore film. Like, you're looking at a sophomore dominating at the Georgia high school football level, and it's really exciting to see what he's going to look like. And he's definitely going to be a guy we got to go back and watch the senior film on, because we didn't really get to see much of his junior year. Here's a really interesting rep where you see just some burst and bend around the edge. Again, talking about a guy that 270 pounds moves like a guy who's 240 pounds. He has extremely good length. You see the power in his hands. You see the closing speed. A really exciting guy that I think is a dude that you teach him how to use that athleticism and the length that he has. Again, a 6'8" wingspan. I think you're looking at a really special prospect because you see the athleticism. You see how functional of a mover he is. Really fun film study to watch, especially for a guy who is only a sophomore. He's got a really good get off as well. Look at him get out in space. Like, he's got a motor to him. There's a lot to like about what T.A. Cunningham brings to the table. And I want to take a look at this Penn State class in 2024. I mean, you check 24/7 Sports rankings on. They got a top 5 class in the country. This is their 24th commitment, and it's a deep class, right? We talked about Quentin Martin, one of the more special athletes in this class. I really like what they're doing with Liam Andrew and T.A. Cunningham. So Liam Andrew, He's listed as an offensive tackle. He's going to play defensive line at the college football level. 6'5", 260. He looks like he's up to 275 pounds too if you've seen pictures of him. These are two guys in T.A. Cunningham and Liam Andrews, and you're seeing college football and football in general kind of go to this. Yes, it's important to have the big-bodied interior defensive lineman who can two-gap, take on double teams, and help stop the run. You're starting to see a lot more of a priority being put on the defensive linemen on the inside who are athletic and can provide in the passers. Because a lot of those guys who are big bodies, yeah, they're good on first and second down, but you got to take them off the field in terms of the pass rush. Penn State going after some guys that I think Liam Andrews, I think T.A. Cunningham can hold up in the run game and take on blocks and go at the point of attack. But where they're really special is how athletic they are and how big they are. And that's going to provide a lot of pass rush from that interior defensive line. Now, to take a deeper dive into this Penn State class, we talked a little Ethan Grunkemeyer. That was one of the more impressive jobs by James Franklin in this class. I mean, when they signed Ethan Grunkemeyer, he was outside the top 700 nationally. You talk about a player eval. You talk about doing it right. They got in on this kid after missing out. I think they wanted Michael Van Buren. I think they had a few quarterbacks they wanted. Sometimes on the recruiting trail, you got to pivot. They go out to Ohio and pivot to Ethan Grunkemeyer, who checks all the boxes physically. He goes out to the Elite 11. He crushes it. And now he's considered kind of a consensus top 15 quarterback in this 2024 class. And when James Franklin offered him and he committed to Penn State, he was outside the top 30. So you talk about a player eval for James Franklin and this crew. Very, very good job on Ethan Grunkemeyer. The trenches are looking really good. You got a really special tight end in Luke Reynolds coming out of Connecticut. And then going down the list, I mean, Penn State continues to recruit the offensive line spot at an elite level. The defensive line spot, you're feeling really, really good about. And you got, I mean, a lot. I think you signed 24 kids so far, or not signed, but have committed. And there's a lot of blue chippers in this class. And it's one of the more deeper classes, and they might still be pushing for some of those top targets. But you take a look at this class, I think a lot of Penn State fans would say, hey, I am okay signing this 2024 group with the 24 kids that we have in December. James Franklin building a really nice class. And what's even more exciting, and if you guys have checked out and you have listened to us this summer talk Penn State football, this is a team that's really dangerous in the Big Ten. Like, again, a lot of hype goes to Michigan and Ohio State, and those teams are really, really good. You saw in our Big Ten rankings, like, Penn State's right up in there. Like, that's going to be one of the best defensive units that we're going to see in the country. If Drew Allar can take a step on the offense, it's not take a step, but be that guy, I should say, as a true sophomore, this Penn State team could be really special in 2023. And what does that do? When it comes December and it's time for these guys to sign their papers and head to school, I could see some flip commitments as teams start to see Penn State is a force in the Big Ten. This is a really exciting time to be a Penn State fan. I've kind of been a banging the table for like the James Franklin. You saw some national media kind of come after James Franklin, maybe not doing what he needs to do at Penn State. James Franklin continues to be one of the better coaches in college football. And if you ask me to name 10 better college football head coaches, I don't think I could do it. I think James Franklin is in there, and I think he's building this group the right way. And you talk about breaking through, winning a Big Ten championship, this 2023 group, this 2024 group, in these next two seasons, you might see that breakthrough happen again. Appreciate you guys checking out the boys, rocking with the fellas. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.